Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another 2024 presidential election prediction. Today, I'm going to be making a pretty different prediction in an entirely different hypothetical scenario. This time, it's going to be an election prediction between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Now, I know many of you are saying at home, why is Kamala Harris facing Donald Trump? She's the vice president, and she's not running for president. Well, as I said, this is a hypothetical scenario. Many people on both the Republican side and the Democrat side are coming out and saying that Joe Biden should step down, should step aside, and should be replaced as the Democrat nominee for president simply due to his age and his popularity and a lot of factors. They don't think that he can win this election. And they certainly don't think that he would be able to finish a second term as president. Now, many people, as a result, are putting up all sorts of names to succeed Joe Biden as the Democrat presidential nominee, like Michelle Obama, like Gavin Newsom. However, at the end of the day, in my opinion, those people really don't really have any significant shot at being the nominee of the Democrat Party. Kamala Harris is the clear successor because she's the vice president of the United States. If they snubbed Kamala Harris, then it would mean that they would even lose a larger portion of the black vote because the black vote is a core part of the Democrat base. Joe Biden said he would nominate a woman to be vice president. He nominated Kamala Harris. If they replaced her with Michelle Obama, that would look a bit odd. First of all, no prior political experience. And second of all, she said that she's not interested in running for president. Now, I understand many people have said that historically. However, we don't really know what sort of baggage she has. She hasn't really been reviewed. And we don't have any polls up of her up against Donald Trump. We don't really know what she could do. So Kamala Harris, in my opinion, is the clear successor for Joe Biden. And, she is the vice president. So in case of tragedy, she would succeed Joe Biden as the president of the United States. With that being said, let's get into this election prediction. Now, keep in mind, this is not what I believe is going to happen. I think that Donald Trump is going to go off and face Joe Biden November 5th, unless if one of them dies, of course. And at that age, anything is possible. But this is simply a hypothetical scenario given the current political environment surrounding Joe Biden and his candidacy. We're going to start off with our safe Harris states. Oh, I'd also like to caveat this prediction with saying I think that Kamala Harris, for one reason, she wouldn't be replaced with Joe Biden, is that she would do worse than Joe Biden in a national election, that she's more unpopular than Joe Biden. That's one of the few reasons. I think that if the vice president was possibly Gretchen Whitmer as a woman or possibly Wes Moore, it would be much more, how do you put this? It would be much more likely in some sense that Biden would be replaced because they possibly would be more electable. Harris, in my opinion, is not more electable. She's less electable. With that being said, don't expect her to perform particularly well against Donald Trump currently in the position right now. Right now, Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden in all of the head-to-head polls in those crucial toss-up states. Anyway, safe Harris states. First safe Harris state will be the state of California, as well as the state of Hawaii. Many people think Hawaii could narrow up a little bit because of the Biden administration's response to the hurricane. Right now, historically, Hawaii has been a Democrat state, and I believe that it will retain that safe Democrat identity. The state of Oregon will be safe in favor of Kamala Harris, as well as the state of Illinois, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, D.C., the most solid state in the nation, Delaware, Connecticut, Vermont, and Maine's first congressional district will all be safe states for Kamala Harris. I'm leaving states like Washington, like New York, and New Jersey out of this equation because of the fact that polling between Donald Trump and Joe Biden has shown that Biden only leads Donald Trump by high single digits in these states. If my theory that Kamala Harris is less popular than Joe Biden is correct, which I believe it is, she would perform even worse. Therefore, theirs would not be safe Democrat states. Even states like Oregon, hesitant to put in that category, but I will simply because we don't have enough data out of Oregon. However, historically, Oregon has been less of a Democrat state than Washington, and Donald Trump did better in Oregon against Hillary Clinton than he did in Washington. And I believe the same thing for Joe Biden as well. But we're looking at the polling data, what we're seeing from those states, and right now, Washington, New York, and New Jersey are in single digits between Trump and Biden. So if Kamala Harris is the nominee, you could see it be even worse. Anyway, safe Trump states. And safe states are states that a candidate is expected to win by 10 or more points in the way that I characterize states. I know some people have it as above 15. In my mind, double digits, that's enough to consider that a safe state in favor of a particular candidate. So this is what a traditional safe Republican, safe Trump states would be. In this scenario, I think that the state of Iowa would become a safe Donald Trump state. What we saw today was a poll from the Des Moines Register, the gold standard of pollsters, the most accurate pollster in the state of Iowa, in the entire history of the state of Iowa, and I believe one of the most accurate pollsters in the history of the United States. Donald Trump leads by 8 18 points against Joe Biden in the state of Iowa. That is the highest he has ever led in that state. 18 points. If this poll is anywhere close to accurate, imagine what it will be against Kamala Harris. He would win by over 20 points. And for that reason, another state of Ohio, Trump would win by a safe margin, as well as Maine's 2nd congressional district, which the most recent poll from Pan Atlantic has Donald Trump leading by 20 points in Maine's 2nd congressional district. So that jumps Donald Trump's lead over Kamala Harris from 149 electoral votes to 127 electoral votes. However, these are just the baseline states that I believe each candidate is essentially guaranteed to win going into this election. There would have to be something severe would have to happen for them to possibly lose any of these states against each other. Likely Kamala Harris states. This would be the state of Washington, the state of Colorado, the state of New York, and the state of New Jersey. All of these would be likely in favor of Kamala Harris. Typically, you would say that they would be safe if you ran, a better candidate, to be frank. But in this scenario, the margins would narrow up a little bit, and it would only be 191 electoral votes, and those states would only be the likely states for Kamala Harris. Now, looking over at our likely Trump states, this will be a state like Texas, which historically was more conservative Republican. However, trends realigned the state. It narrowed up a lot. Many Democrats believed that they would win it in 2016, and then they said we're going to win it in 2020 and down the line. However, we're still not at that point. It's 2024, and Trump's still expected to win Texas by a pretty considerable margin. He's up about 9 points in the polls. In my opinion, in my model, any likely state is from 5 to 10 points margin in victory. Which is likely to go in favor of somebody. So Texas would fall into that category. You could argue against Harris it would be a safe state. However, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative and put it in the likely category. Nonetheless, that giant monster of electoral votes in Texas, 40 electoral votes, goes in favor of President Trump. Another big monster of electoral votes. This is the third biggest electoral vote counted state in the country. The state of Florida would also go in Donald Trump's category, getting Donald Trump to 219 electoral votes. That would be a likely Trump state. Another likely Trump state would be the state of North Carolina, which Donald Trump has led in most polls by 7, 8, and 5 points, respectively. This falls in that likely category. Now, North Carolina has been historically close against Joe Biden. However, all of the polls indicate that Donald Trump is going to expand on his lead in North Carolina against Hillary Clinton, which on polling is actually more popular than Kamala Harris. He defeated Hillary Clinton by about 3.5 points in North Carolina. With Harris on the ticket, as at the top of the ticket, you definitely could see a state like North Carolina shift to that likely category where Trump picks and wins it by more than 3 points. Now let's head into our lean Kamala Harris states. Lean Kamala Harris state, this would be the state of New Mexico. We haven't really seen much polling data out of New Mexico. However, it is a high propensity, high amount of Hispanics live in the state of New Mexico. Hispanics do favor Democrats in voting. However, recent elections show and recent polling shows that they are shifting in favor of Republicans at a pretty exponential rate. In this scenario, I think that Kamala Harris would actually win the state of New Mexico. However, by a smaller margin than Biden won in 2020 and Hillary Clinton in 2016, she'd win by about 3 to 4 points in New Mexico. Another lean Kamala Harris state, this would be the state of Virginia. Historically, similar things with New Mexico, similar victory margins. However, this time around, we've seen 2 polls. A Roanoke College poll has it at a tie, and a Fox News poll has the state of Virginia at a tie. Both of these polls have been pretty historically accurate for the state of Virginia, and this is against Joe Biden. Keep in mind, all of these polls, none of these are against Kamala Harris, which definitely is making Democrats nervous this time around going into this election cycle. Another lean Harris state would be the state of New Hampshire. Donald Trump, pretty unpopular in the Northeast, and at the end of the day, even with Kristen and his endorsement in New Hampshire, I just don't see him carrying the state. And the final lean Harris state is Maine's at-large district, or whatever you want to call it, Maine at large, with 2 electoral votes. The most recent poll from Pan Atlantic actually has Trump leading by 6 in the state. However, I think that as we get closer to the election day, that will end up going in a lean margin in favor of Kamala Harris. She would win by about 1 to 2 percentage points. Now we head into our tilt states, we head into our lean Republican states. The first lean Republican state is the state of Georgia. He's leading pretty considerably in Georgia. The Biden campaign at this point is not even spending much time campaigning in Georgia because I believe that they believe that it is essentially at this point a lost cause. Another lean Trump state is the state of Nevada. This is the first flip that Trump would get from 2016 and 2020, respectively, both of them. The state of Nevada has trended considerably in favor of Republicans due to that shift among Hispanic voters, which is why New Mexico is now a lean state. Republicans haven't won New Mexico since 2004 with George Bush. In this scenario, they want to win at this election. however, be much closer than historically Trump has had it at. And then another state would be the state of Arizona for similar reasons as Nevada and New Mexico. Another lean state would be the state of Wisconsin. Donald Trump leads in the polling in Wisconsin. He's been typically underestimated by about 6 points in the aggregate, and right now he leads by 0.1%. So you could make an argument that he would win Wisconsin or could win Wisconsin by a likely margin. I don't think that would happen in a national election, frankly, against any candidate, even Kamala Harris, and he would end up winning Wisconsin by 3 to 4 points, a pretty considerable margin. However, a lean Trump state, another lean Trump state would be the state of Pennsylvania. I think he'd win Pennsylvania by around 2 to 3 points. The polling in Pennsylvania has been pretty accurate right now. In 2020, it was dead on the margins with regard to the aggregate in the polling. Um, and right now, Trump leads in Pennsylvania by 2 points. Against Kamala Harris, he'd win by about 3 to 4 points. Another lean Trump state would be the state of Michigan. This would be the least in favor of Trump in terms of those three states. He'd win Michigan by about 2 points, in my opinion, against Kamala Harris. That gets Donald Trump to 312 electoral votes. Now, our tilt states. And keep in mind the margins. This is another reason. The margins would be so much harder to overcome for Kamala Harris than they are for Joe Biden at this point in time. States like Michigan and Wisconsin or even Arizona would be in that tilt category, and Arizona, and my prediction actually went in favor of Biden. Against Kamala Harris, it just doesn't happen. Anyway, let's head into our tilt Harris states. Nebraska's 2nd congressional district would tilt in favor of Kamala Harris. Democrats are pretty popular among suburban women, and I do think that Kamala Harris would end up winning Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, and the state of Minnesota narrowly tilting in favor of Kamala Harris, getting her to 226 electoral votes. However, Donald Trump still wins the presidency against Kamala Harris by an even bigger electoral margin than Joe Biden. In my election prediction, I had Joe Biden winning Arizona. Therefore, Donald Trump only had 301. This time with Kamala Harris, he hits 312 electoral votes. Donald Trump wins the presidency and essentially wins every state that he did in 2016, with the exception of Nevada going in favor of him and Nebraska's 2nd congressional district going against him compared to 2016. Thank you for watching this election prediction. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for more videos as we get closer to Election Day. Anyway, have a great day, and I will see you all very soon.